County of Clinton Industrial Development Agency, also known as CCIDA. CCIDA has called this public hearing pursuant to notice of public hearing on a proposed project and financial assistance relating thereto, which was published in the Press Republican on the 17th of April this year. The notice is given pursuant to provisions of the general municipal law because of an application that has been made to us by an entity known to you all as PARC, the Plattsburgh Air Base Redevelopment Corporation, which has sent a letter to the agency, a copy of which is on file at the office of the agency, requesting that the agency consider undertaking a project consisting of the following: the acquisition from the United States Air Force of an approximately 3,407-acre parcel of land known as the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, located in the city of Plattsburgh and the town of Plattsburgh, county of Clinton, New York, together with over 1,000 existing buildings containing in the aggregate more than 3,800,000 square feet of space located thereon. Collectively, they are known as the facility. And the acquisition therein of certain machinery and equipment, all of the foregoing to be leased by the agency, meaning CCIDA, to PARC for the conversion by PARC from military to civilian use. The granting, and in addition, the granting of certain financial assistance within the meaning of Section 854.14 of the General Municipal Law with respect to the foregoing, including potential exemptions from sales taxes, real property transfer taxes, mortgage recording taxes, real estate taxes, all collectively known as the financial assistance, and the lease with an obligation to purchase or sale of the project facility to PARC or such other person as may be designated by PARC and agreed upon by the agency. The agency, again, which is CCIDA, is considering whether to undertake the project and to provide certain exemptions from taxation with respect to the project, including exemption from mortgage recording taxes with respect to any documents recorded by the agency with respect to the project in the office of the Clinton County Clerk or elsewhere, exemption from sales taxes relating to the acquisition, construction, and installation of the project facility, exemption from deed transfer taxes on any real estate transfers with respect to the project, and exemption from real property taxes, but not including special assessments and special ad valorem levies with respect to the project facility, subject to the obligation of the company to make payments in lieu of taxes with respect to the project facility. The agency has not yet made a determination pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law, which is known as the SECRA Act, regarding the potential environmental impact of the project. The agency will, at this time and place, hear all persons with views on either the location and nature of the proposed project facility and the financial assistance being contemplated by the agency in connection with the proposed project. I've just either paraphrased or read in detail the notice that was published in the Press Republican. That notice was also posted at the City Hall here in Plattsburgh and the Town Hall in the town of Plattsburgh on April 17th, 1998. Notice of this notice was also sent to the supervisor of the town of Plattsburgh, the county administrator of the Clinton County Legislature, the chairperson of the Clinton County Legislature, the superintendent of schools of the City of Plattsburgh Schools and the Peru Central School District Schools, and the mayor of the City of Plattsburgh. That notice was sent on April 7th, 1998. There is a sign-up sheet somewhere, and we would ask that each of those who are attending here tonight would enter their names and addresses and any other information called for on that sign-up sheet. With us tonight, we have Dory Kurtz, who's the president of Clinton County Area Development Corp. And is also the Assistant Secretary of the County of Clinton Industrial Development Agency. Again, CCIDA is the agency concerned with this hearing tonight. Dan Winnicky is the interim president of PARC, and Randy Beach is the board member of PARC. Chairman of the Board of PARC. With that, I'll open the hearing to comments to be made by Mrs. Kurtz.
Good evening. My name is Adore Kurtz, and I'm the Executive Director and Assistant Secretary of the County of Clinton Industrial Development Agency. And we're here tonight to find out your thoughts and your opinions on whether the County of Clinton Industrial Development Agency ought to consider the application and the project which we have on before us this evening. There are essentially two components of the project. One is the request to transfer the project from the Air Force to the County of Clinton Industrial Development Agency, and the second part of the project is the subsequent leasing of the facility by the County of Clinton Industrial Development Agency to PARC. I just want to review a couple of things that might help to make this kind of an easier process to get through, some guidelines. We're here to get information from you. That's the reason that we are statutorily required to have a public hearing, and the reason that we invited you to come here tonight. We need you to come up to the front and identify yourself with your name and your address. We need you to sign in on the sign-in sheet. And we want, while there's really not a limitation on the amount of time that you have to speak, we certainly want all of the information that you have to impart to us. I think it's important that we try to be straightforward and substantive in our comments. So I think it would be helpful if we made the comments. We will, at the end of this meeting, have videotapes. We will have a recording of the hearing as well, and minutes of the meeting. We want to be sure that we get all the information that you have to give us, but one time around seems like it's an appropriate amount of time. So with that, I will do probably the first thing, and then I'd like to invite you to come up here and we'll try to make it organized. I received a letter on April the 13th, 1998 at the County of Clinton IDA. It's a letter to the FOIL officer and to the IDA, and it's signed by William Kuntz from Westport, New York. This letter includes several other letters, one March 11th, 1998 to the editor of the Plattsburgh Press Republican and copied to Assemblyman Ortloff, one dated April the 3rd, 1998 to the County of Clinton IDA, and these are all letters from Mr. Kuntz, the 3rd of Westport, New York, and I'd like at this time to enter the comments that he has made into the public record of the hearing. So he'll be the first one in the public record of the hearing. Are there other people who would like to make comments about the project that we have, that the IDA has before it? And if you do, I'd like to, if you raise your hand, we'll invite you to come up here and share your comments with us.
Are questions allowed?
Well, there's not a presentation. We really, I think there has been a substantial discussion on what the project is. It's essentially a two-part project, Air Force to IDA, IDA to PARC. And so if we don't want to squelch any opportunity you would have, so if you'd like to ask a question, you can certainly do that. The comments, questions, and opinions that are discussed here tonight will be transmitted to the members of the agency. The County of Clinton Industrial Development Agency is made up of 7 members. They're appointed by the county legislature, and they will have the opportunity to consider those comments when making a decision on this project. So if you'd like to come up and identify yourself. You get to be, well, I've already introduced Mr. Kuntz's thing, so you get to be second.
All right. My name is David Miles. I'm from Westport, New York. And I have a comment that I guess is also in the nature of a question. I'm a former director of the Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Art, which is an economic development project in a small city in northern Berkshire County. It is, in fact, the largest economic development initiative concerning the arts in the United States at this point. It's 780,000 square feet of redevelopment, It's 28 buildings on 13 acres in the downtown of a small city, and is essentially answered the question of what to do with a tremendous amount of vacant space in the middle of a economically challenged environment. 82% of the citizens of North Adams did not graduate college, 64% did not graduate high school. And it is sufficiently far from Boston to have convinced most of the people in Massachusetts that it's actually in New York. However, apparently the governor woke up and realized that people out there actually do vote, and over a period of about 9 years, the project was developed by Joseph Thompson and Thomas Krenz. Joseph Thompson formerly ran the Williams College Museum of Art and was a protege of Thomas Krenz, who runs the Guggenheim Museum in New York. Started out as an economic development project and strictly, originally, the world's largest museum of contemporary art. Over a period of 9 years, has turned itself into an arts and technology park, industrial park, where corporations who use technology to create art can be attracted, work together. A base of technology, a high-speed computer network is actually going to be supplied by the museum, interconnecting these various corporations, and also has a component that provides for the production of film on a large scale, television on a large scale, and other media, interactive media on a large scale, and has attracted some significant support and corporations out of New York City and actually out of Hollywood. One of the top 5 Hollywood feature film special effects companies has located their headquarters in this small city. The Kleiser-Walzak Construction Company, they're known for doing Stargate, Judge Dredd, Clear and Present Danger, and the new Mortal Kombat. And in the course of a year, they started out with 12 employees at this headquarters. They now have over 40. Many of those employees have bought homes in town. All of them are paying property taxes and are contributing to the economy of that town. And they are, in fact, attracting others, other corporations who want to work with them. And I guess in the nature of my question, I wanted to know whether or not thinking outside of the box in terms of developing an area of the base for media production and for film. Some of those requirements are pretty specific for film. You need a large area that can be securely controlled, particularly when you're talking about large-scale Hollywood development. You need skilled crews, you need a certain amount of infrastructure available to you, and you need to be able to control these areas because, as you well know, film requires a certain amount, depending upon the type of film, of pyrotechnic capability. And various other special effects require a large amount of space, construction ability, et cetera, but just to give you an idea of the impact of a feature film, while I was the director of the museum and sort of working within Berkshire County in the media business, the film Marvin's Room was shot, Meryl Streep film was shot in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. In the period of 30 days, they brought in all of their crews. They used a great deal of the infrastructure, got all their materials locally, mainly did almost all of their purchasing locally. In 30 days, they dropped $4 million into the local economy. So I was wondering whether or not these types of businesses had ever been considered, or there was an open possibility of considering those types of businesses.
Thank you very much. Are there others who are interested in sharing their views? Please come forward. If you'll identify yourself, and thanks.
Hi, my name is Linda George, and I live in Goldsboro, North Carolina, and I don't really know what's going on here because I have not been here in a long, long time, 5 years to be exact. But my parents, I had the opportunity to live on Plattsburgh Air Force Base twice. Once was with my parents when my dad was in the Army, and they retired here. And the second time was when I was lucky enough to meet my wonderful husband, who is now in Korea, which is why I'm back here visiting my parents. And I can't tell you the sadness that I felt driving on this base and seeing nothing. I mean, I remember my son playing on the playground, the base being full of my friends, full of my husband's friends, and it just is a tremendous sadness in my heart to see nothing. And I don't know what all of you are doing. I ask my parents' friends, and I ask my friends, and I ask my parents, well, what's going on with the base? And the answer I get is always, not much, not much. And I don't know what you all can do, but I think it would make all of us, you know, the military may have left Plattsburgh, but it's still in our hearts, and if you could find something to do with the base to make it productive, to make it with life again, I think it would make all of us who have left here feel very, very rewarded to know that even though our husbands still serve in the military or our wives still do, that Plattsburgh is in our hearts, is really and truly in our hearts, and it needs to be productive and useful again. And just sitting there with houses that I know, you know, are very nice inside with, who knows, probably snakes and rats and who knows what in there now, and playgrounds that are empty, and it's just a tremendous waste. And I would just like to appeal to all of you that the next time I visit, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, that I really hope that something has been done with this, because it's a disgrace to the people who served here to have nothing done with that land but sit there empty. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. George. Anybody else? Please come forward.
I have no presentation, but I thought maybe for any of us to make up our minds about this topic before us, we ought to know something about the financing, and particularly how this is going to possibly relate to any taxpayer responsibility and so forth. Could someone kind of touch on the financing that's going to be involved here?
Sir, could you identify yourself, please?
My name is Ken Mills. I live in the town of Plattsburgh.
And I'm very sorry, but I had a very difficult time hearing your question over everybody's head. Could you repeat it?
Sure. I said before any of us, particularly myself, can make up our mind about this project that's before us, I think we should know something about the financing, how it's going to be handled, what possible reflection is going to be on the local taxpayers, if any. And I think we should just know something about the financing as it's going to progress here. We all know that sooner or later, Washington is going to dry up, so I just would like to hear what you plan about it, what the story is.
What I'd like to start with is a reiteration of what Dory said at the start of the meeting, and this is an opportunity for the County of Clinton Industrial Development Agency to learn of your concerns.
That's fine.
Okay? If your concern is about the financing of the project, then we can take that back to our board and have that developed in some fashion so that the concern is explored and fleshed out so that we can ask the same type of question of ourselves and see if it's a viable project to go forward with. But as far as the IDA is concerned, CCIDA is concerned, there would essentially be very little actual money involved. We act as a pass-through agency and can convey certain economic assistance to companies that get involved with projects and use us as a conduit for that purpose. We can confer on those companies certain tax benefits, but the money for the projects doesn't come out of our pocket. So in a very simplistic way, the money for this project is going to have to be a combination of sources. A continued source from the federal government, and the plan that is developed by PARC as the company involved to wean itself from the federal government funding. The timetable for that and the particulars of that are at this time being worked out.
I think, just to add a little bit to what Mark said, just to make clear about how the IDA works. I'm not sure, I think perhaps that your question probably has something to do with what responsibilities do the local taxing jurisdictions and the people have if the IDA takes the property. And the IDA essentially is a public benefit corporation, but it has virtually no assets. And so, unlike the County of Clinton, the City of Plattsburgh, or the Town of Plattsburgh, it is a conduit vehicle And the project has to work on the merits of what PARC and its board of directors and its employees bring to the table. What the IDA does is accept the property, and because of the type of public benefit corporation that it is, it provides some benefits to PARC that will perhaps be of assistance to them in the redevelopment of the base. But it doesn't incur liability, financial liability, to the county, the town, or the city. Thanks. Is there, and I'm sorry, Mr. Mills.
Do you not issue bonds?
In certain cases where we're asked to.
In certain cases, and that is not part of the application here. There are no bonds which are being considered or being requested. Essentially, what PARC has requested is a straight lease transaction where we would lease them the property. And so no bonds are involved, and the IDA doesn't issue bonds that in any way go back to the county or the town or the city for repayment. They are not general obligation bonds. They are called industrial revenue bonds, and they do not make any of those taxing jurisdictions have any liability.
If I understand you correctly, as a conduit, you pass this on to PARC, and then they will be responsible for their own financing. Is that
They will continue to have the same responsibilities that they have now.
Thank you.
Are there other comments?
Can I just elaborate on one thing? As far as the bonds are concerned, was it clear, because I know that it's a common misconception that the repayment of those bonds, where they're used, and this is not one of those cases, but where bonds are used for IDA projects, they're not repaid from tax dollars?
I understand that.
Okay.
Why don't you come forward?
Well, I just have a rather brief question. My name is Elwin Richter. I'm from the town of Peru. The 3,000 odd acres was mentioned in this transfer. There's the additional 2,000 acres.
Many are easement acres that are not owned by the Air Force outright, but are under easement.
So this transfer is of 3,000 acres. Can you define that or outline
I
that?
think actually what we said is that, I think it's 4707.
It's almost 5,000.
It's almost 5,000, but the easement acres are ones that are outside, that are essentially landing type easements for the former air facility that was here.
So is it the new base or both the new and the old base?
It includes all of the base.
Well, I understood, didn't he state a figure of 3,000 something?
3,407 acre parcel.
Yeah.
Well, the original was always stated as 5,000.
That includes a number of easement acres.
What will happen to those? The Air Force will transfer those also, right?
I think that they don't own them outright, so I think the easements will be transferred. Yeah, the easements only transfer because they don't own the land.
Thank you. I'd always heard 5, and then I just wondered what the difference was. Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody else? That being the case, it's 7:29, and we'll close the public hearing and declare this public hearing closed. Thank you very much for attending. We really appreciate it.